the creation of the internet, every industry has been turned upside down. Amazon changed retail. Uber changed transportation. YouTube changed video forever. With the invention of crypto, money is next. At the speed technology is growing, the future of money and securities are digital. 9 out of 10 millennials do not trust banks. The value of money relies on trust. Government debt is higher than it's ever been before. Central banks continue to print money. Fortunately, the world has a new solution. Experts predict in 7 years, 10% of the world's economy will be in crypto-based assets. Today, 1 billion people have access to the financial industry. Crypto is about empowering the other 6 billion people by banking the unbanked. Do not underestimate this. Do you wish you invested in Google, Amazon, or Netflix before anyone ever knew about them? $1,000 invested in Netflix turned to over $500,000. At Token Metrics, we help you find the next Netflix. Token Metrics users think differently about investing. They are early adopters looking for financial freedom. They are people who see a better world. A world without international borders. We believe in a world where everyone has access to the next financial revolution. At Token Metrics, we are creating a bridge that gets you to that revolution. We will help you make sound investments in this new world. The world's best investors do not rely on their intuition. They embrace technology and AI to invest. Token Metrics uses AI to find invisible patterns in data to help you invest and trade in crypto. In the past, we have used our data-driven system to achieve financial freedom. Now, we are giving you the keys. We created Token Metrics to be the only platform you'll ever need to make money in crypto. We give you AI and access to crypto experts at the best price. The moon is not the limit. To the moon and beyond.
Disclaimer. Token Metrics Media LLC does not provide individually tailored investment advice and does not take a subscriber's or anyone's personal circumstance into consideration when discussing investments, nor is it registered as an investment advisor or broker-dealer in any jurisdiction. Information contained herein is not an offer or solicitation to buy, hold, or sell any security. The Token Metrics team has advised and invested in many blockchain companies. A complete list of their advisory roles and current holdings can be viewed here at tokenmetrics.com/disclosures.
What's up, Token Metrics family, and thanks for tuning into the live stream. Ian is having a few technical difficulties with his camera, but he will very likely be joining us soon. So to start off, we're just going to kick it over to Bill and go straight into the market update.
Forrest, thanks. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bill Noble, and this is your Sunday market update. All right, the market is doing better as I speak, but prior to this, frankly, it was depressing. So I am going to talk about how to be a crypto maximalist, what to do when crypto is falling apart, and how to keep your head straight, and then what to do next. Now, why crypto? There was a famous tweet posted in June of 2017 that's being referenced in a lot of big hedge fund chat rooms. Let's go through 3 lessons. 1, blockchain will replace networks with markets. So instead of the SWIFT dollar payment system, you'll have Bitcoin and Ethereum. If that makes no sense, how about this? Crypto equals freedom. Number 2, humans are the networked species, the first species to network across the genetic boundaries and seize the world. Crypto equals empowerment. The ability to buy, sell, hold, and eventually spend crypto will make you a more powerful human. Networks allow us to cooperate when we would otherwise go it alone. And networks allocate the fruits of our cooperation. Crypto equals humanity. Crypto can help make you a better person. Now, with the pep talk on our side, let's talk about how crypto took the China mining ban like a champ. This comes from the research of my personal favorite crypto house, Galaxy Digital. Let's talk about the China mining ban, and let's talk about how Bitcoin took it like a champ. So first of all the miners got kicked out of China, and guess what? All Bitcoin could do was go down about 50%, which, as a historian like Forrest will tell you, is relatively normal for Bitcoin. So you had an abnormal event create just a normal correction. So if the abnormal event should have created a huge down move and the market didn't go down huge, what's the market going to do? It's going to go up. Block creation in Bitcoin has slowed, but the network is still functioning. The hash rate fell, but the network is still secure. The shift away from mining in China is a demonstration of the network's resiliency. China, and this is me now, not Galaxy, China can't stop the movement towards global, inalienable property rights through crypto ownership. Communists want to control everything. Well, guess what? Blank you. Okay? The citizens of the world want property rights. Sailor's talking about it, and I don't even know if Sailor knows that Bitcoin just proved that you can't take property rights away from people by messing around with miners. The decentralized model held. Now, a brief chart R&D for Bitcoin. So I'm always looking to try new things. This is a 4-day chart of Bitcoin. I'm using Gann lines drawn off 2 critical points. One is December of 2017. The other is March of 2020. And I'm noticing a huge intersection of Gann lines around 30K. Not a surprise that Bitcoin cannot break this level. So the story of 30K is not just about Michael Saylor and big players or some even number. There's actual chart and Gann work behind 30K. I know the market is up as we're speaking. This was done earlier in the day. The bottom line is this, folks. 30K was it. It was it for this correction, and there's a lot more upside in Bitcoin. Now, let's talk about Bitcoin-related equities. MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor stock, has not done much during the second half of the year, right? In other words, there was a big run-up in Q1, but hasn't really done anything since. I believe this stock is about to take off again. I think everyone laughed at this guy for buying Bitcoin with borrowed money, and I think he just got on Twitter and he got on the tape and he basically gave you a more eloquent version of the pep talk that I just gave you. And people who are short this stock are going to wish they were never born, because I think this is going back to its all-time high. It's trading at roughly 550, and if it goes through 625, I believe it's going to make a new high. Now, my all-time favorite, total fanboy, Galaxy Digital. Objectively looking at the chart on a weekly basis, you had a nice bounce off $18.57. The stock trades in Canada. 1857 was not only a Gann line, but a 62% retracement level. And this reminds me of exactly what happened back in January of 2021, where you had 4 or 5 sideways, difficult candles, and then it just smoked to the upside. With the market trading the way it is as of this presentation, I'd be surprised if this didn't open up above 20. All right, now let's take a look at ETH on a tactical level. So I was looking at a 4-minute chart. ETH is actually $100 higher than when I put this chart together. So if you're watching this, a week or 2 weeks from when it's recorded, you will realize the power of the reversal that occurred on this Sunday. So I was looking at 1807 and noting that ETH held a big 62% retracement level, and it also held a prior high from June 21. Now, you might be asking yourself, Bill, why are you talking about a chart that's outdated already, like when you're talking about it? Well, because this is an example that buyers showed up, that once options expiration related selling, which is a mysterious thing, once that finally went away, buyers showed up on support. So this is the ETH version of the Bitcoin chart, except on a much lower time frame. Now, speaking of the ETH version of the Bitcoin chart, here's the 4-day look for ETH. Lo and behold, this chart's looking a heck of a lot better than when I generated it. I almost didn't put it in the deck, showing you that the professionals can get duped and can get down as well. So if you got down when this market was down, you had company. Trust me. Now with this chart, if ETH is above 1900, you've got some really, really powerful evidence that the bottom is in and that this thing can turn around and go back up again. Now, that said, our quantitative analyst department has done some work on Token Metrics TV about having a put option in the pocket in case of a drop. So let's just take a brief moment to say, okay, if the world ended, what would happen to ETH? Well, it might go to 1,073. Do I think that's going to happen? F no, I don't. But crypto can humble you when you have a strong view. My point is this. If you see a 25 or 35 or 40% rally in ETH, it might be a good idea to take a look at that put option in the pocket just so you have a hedge just in case of a problem. You want to buy puts or hedges, not investment advice, when the market's going up, not when the market's going down. So tune in to Token Metrics TV to check out those options tutorials for crypto. Now, here comes the big shot. This one I can do whether the market's up or down. This is an influencer that we respect, Caitlin Long, who just came out and said, holy cow, the Federal Reserve, for the first time, explicitly called out by name Tether and stablecoins as a possible concern to the stability of the financial system, given how much of Tether and stablecoins have been created and how the Fed has absolutely no control over what happens with these stablecoins, which are pegged to the dollar, which is their job, as in their sort of national security related job, to control and monitor, right? The job of the Federal Reserve is to fight inflation and defend the currency. Okay, they're not doing a very good job of either, but their mandate is to keep an eye on the dollar. Now, that was kind of a big speech, I know, but check it out. If the Fed's upset about the dollar or stable coins, here's an idea. Get the F out of stable coins, right? Why do you want to stick around if the Federal Reserve or regulators clamp down on, I don't know, DAI, USDC, Tether? There's no case to own a stable coin if the government's upset about it. Meanwhile, other cryptocurrencies, right, that the Fed's not going to get upset about, are on sale, 50, 40% markdown. So at the end of the day, owning big cap cryptos and getting out of stable coins, not investment advice, feels like a no-brainer. So my sincere hope is you didn't get too depressed when it got down. You didn't get too euphoric when it rallied Sunday night. My father, who was a broker for years, used to say, don't get too low on the lows and don't get too high on the highs. That's the market update. This is Bill Noble. We'll see you next time. Forrest, back to you.
Thanks, Bill. We're going to jump right into some Bitcoin price action analysis. But first, I want to start zoomed out and talk about briefly why the price is down from 64,000, 65,000 in the first place. The price is down in large part due to FUD that is originated out of China banning Bitcoin. Now, love it or hate it, agree with it, disagree with it, the stock to flow model has been one of the most accurate models for predicting Bitcoin's price over a long period of time. Now, historically, it's also been one of the most profitable models to actually use to trade Bitcoin or pick in entry and exit points for Bitcoin, right? The idea is when Bitcoin is undervalued against this model, right? And we've got our price here in the color-coded scheme here. And then we've got the model prediction as the red line here. You can see right now we are undervalued against the model's prediction of where we should be. The model's predicting we should be over $80,000, yet Bitcoin's currently trading at 32 earlier today, but now it's 34 because we're up 5% in just about the last hour. But if you look at the variance, the bottom, this is the most important line of this entire chart, and I'm going to zoom in on it. Historically, the best times to buy Bitcoin and see returns rather quickly is when the variance of this stock to flow model is at all-time lows, and it's currently at all-time lows. The stock to flow model is, whether you agree with the methodology or not, it's just a measure of Bitcoin's scarcity versus its price. And it predicts what the fair value of Bitcoin should be based off of those two metrics. Now, historically, the best times to buy Bitcoin is when the model is inaccurate to the downside, right? When the variance is high to the negative side, basically when this line drops and turns green and bottoms out. So right now we're seeing extreme negative variance against this model that is predicting that Bitcoin should be worth over $80,000 right now. Yet we're seeing not only a 50% discount from its all-time high, but like a 60+% discount from where the stock to flow model is predicting that it should be. Not to mention historically, Bitcoin's price has always overshot this model. So let's also step into some historical analysis of Bitcoin. And there's kind of two major theories out there around Bitcoin. There's the 4-year cycle theory and the lengthening cycle theory. So Bitcoin, I believe, launched in January of 2009 or so, started trading, and it first really saw a peak in November of 2013, which was roughly 3 years and 10 months later. Well, we could round that to 4 years. And then the next market cycle from peak to peak was almost exactly 4 years. I believe it was like within 15 days of being exactly 4 years. If we use this 4-year, regardless of whether we use the 4-year cycle theory or the lengthening market cycle theory, the lengthening market cycle theory says that we have more time, right? This market cycle, right? But if we just use the 4-year cycle theory, we actually have 175 to 180 days left this market cycle for Bitcoin to come back up and peak. You might be thinking, well, 6 months, can Bitcoin really go from 30,000 or 28, 29,000 at its bottom here to over 100K, what people have been predicting for this market cycle from the beginning in 180 days? And the answer is absolutely a resounding yes. Now, I know there are cases for a bear market here. There are cases for a further downside. But if we just pause and look at these previous market cycles and what Bitcoin does historically towards the end of these market cycles, we can see that Bitcoin ran from $3,000 up 550% over the last 88 days. And I believe if we actually measured this very closely and accurately, it's about 91 or 93 days. So about 3 months for Bitcoin to go from 3,000 off of a 40% dip to $19,700 in the last market cycle. Now, it just so happens that where Bitcoin bottomed out was finding support on this red regression line. It also just so happens that this was the maximum point of negative variance last market cycle on the stock to flow model, right? July of 2017. That was the maximum point, and that's about where we're currently at right now. Now, if we jump back over, we can see, compare these two market cycles. We came up, broke through the red regression band, and found support. We did wick below it, right? Now, currently, what are we doing? We broke through the red regression band, logarithmic regression band, and now we're testing it as support. And now we have broken through it, and we're wicking below it right now. But if we see a recovery, there's evidence to suggest that Bitcoin could move very violently towards the upside here. So we're kind of in a situation where we're getting an extra discount from what we would normally expect. Historically, we got back-to-back 40% discounts, 40% corrections. This time we got a 53 to 55% correction, right? Because we've had some FUD around the China banning Bitcoin and miners having to move out. But those miners aren't necessarily just going to quit. They're going to just move to other countries and set up shop in other countries. Now, what is the line for Bitcoin in terms of its price action that actually scares me? And doesn't scare me, but just makes me respect the possibility of a full-blown bear market more. That's the 50% correction line that you can see we have wicked below, and we've even closed a couple candles below on the daily chart. Why is this so important? This is important because this is where you can no longer short Bitcoin on 2x leverage and protect your liquidation point above its all-time high. So if we see price action sharply fall below this 50% correction line, right, like we saw back in 2017, then I'm a little bit more worried about a bear market, right? However, I'm not necessarily scared because that provides us with an insane short-term money-making opportunity. Not financial advice, but historically, every time Bitcoin has dropped below its 50% retracement level, its 2x short margin pressure level, buying the bottom, which is usually around a 70% correction, has been insanely profitable in the short term because we usually see a correction, a V-shaped recovery back to the upside where we can turn around and sell almost immediately. Now, the reason a drop that low, aside from the obvious reasons of the price correcting 70% from the all-time high, the reason that's more bearish is because it's not just leveraged sell pressure that is protecting against its all-time high. What a drop below this level would actually mean is it's panic selling and it's people shorting Bitcoin on leverage unprotected against the all-time high because they don't believe that Bitcoin is going to come back and challenge its all-time high or break its all-time high. So when we break below 50% convincingly, that tells you that the market no longer thinks that we can make a new all-time high, at least in the short term. So that is why it's extremely bearish. Now, like I said, we know that we usually see these V-shaped recoveries, right, after we see a 50% correction, right, from our last recent peak, right? And we know that it's insanely profitable to scoop this dip at a 70% discount from the most recent peak and turn around and sell it when it retests 50%. Now, that is not financial advice, and that's getting into more short-term trading strategies. But you can bet that I will be buying if we do see a V-shaped or a spill-off below this 50% correction line. Now, all that to say is I firmly of the market come back and violently move towards the upside. Now, last thing I want to talk about very briefly, altcoin dominance throughout this entire correction, and ignore this bad print. That's a technical thing on this chart. We're actually trading at around 53% altcoin dominance. That is very, very strong. Altcoin dominance is still much higher than it was back in January and February when we saw the bulk of the upwards momentum in this bull market, right? We're still altcoins are still actually holding a lot of their value in terms of percentage of the total crypto market cap. So I think the evidence suggests that this bull market may not be over yet, and we can see violent price action to the top side. And that is my take on Bitcoin's price action and analysis. Let's kick it back over to Ian if he's been able to join us.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. Apologies, having some technical issues over here, but we're here. We're live. Thank you, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the live stream. So now let's segue to a very, very huge and special announcement. And now this is coming. So let me open up here. So we're excited to announce the Tokenmetrics Crowdfund is now live. Yes, the Crowdfund. Opportunity for our customers, our community, our crypto family to indicate your interest and share in the future success of Tokenmetrics. What is a crowdfund? This is a regulated crowdfund through the SEC, and basically giving you the opportunity to indicate interest to invest and own possible equity in Tokenmetrics, right? So this is being done on a regulated platform. We have emailed our customers and early community members, but now we're going public with this officially as of today. So you can go to wefunder.com/token.metrics. That's wefunder.com/token/metrics. Now we do have to basically go through this legal disclaimer, which is we are testing the waters to gauge investor interest in an offering under regulation crowdfunding. No money or other consideration is being solicited. If sent, it will not be accepted. No offer to buy securities will be accepted. No part of the purchase price will be received until a Form C is filed and only through WeFunder's platform. Any indication of interest involves no obligation or commitment of any kind. All right, disclosure out of the way. Let's now shift over to the actual site. Right, so if you go to wefunder.com/token.metrics, this is the official page for you to go through and indicate your interest. And as you see here, we've already raised over $290,000. So thank you to the people who have already shown their interest. Right? You can go down here. There's a video, typical video, but we're basically going through breaking down the company. The main highlights is because of the help of our community, our crypto family, we have been growing over 40% month over month for the last 12 months. We're over 6 million in annual recurring revenue. So thank you to our family. And we have lots of new products coming. Right, so we've launched the indices, the trading signals, the ratings, the price predictions, Tokenmetrics TV, and we have lots of other things out there. Also, thanks to our affiliates, people like Crypto Love, Crypto Busy, Brian Jung, and we're also in the process of working towards building a crypto robo-advisor platform for you to be able to passively invest in crypto through our indices. And as you see here, we have our team and the backgrounds on our team, from myself to Bill to Garage, our chief quant. And then we also have the pitch deck, right? So if you want to go through and see the pitch, it's all down here on the platform in terms of where we are now, where we're going, and how you could possibly share in our future success and basically go to the moon with us, right? So go to the page, check it out. I'll drop the link in the chat below as well. Forrest or Bill, any comments on the crowdfund?
Sure, I'll go. All right, so this is government regulated. So when we say not investment advice, we that's we mean it. So let's just go through this briefly. Just a reminder of things I say on the show. When Bitcoin was at 64K and you were wearing a lampshade on your head, what should you have done? You should have sold. When crypto is so depressing that you want to cry, rage quit, or both, What should you do? And that's the market update.
All right. Forrest, any comments?
Yeah, so I think when you're looking to invest in anything right now, the popular question I think that a lot of people might have is why invest in a crypto-based company versus just investing in crypto? And the answer to that question for me personally is you look at the growth curve, right? And the adoption curve. Token Metrics is extremely young and extremely early in its growth curve. We're like a year old, a little over a year old, I think, Ian. This is, I mean, this is like, yeah, Bitcoin's going to continue to do well. Crypto is going to continue to do well. But when you compare two things, I personally think that Token Metrics, and obviously not investment advice, and obviously massive conflict of interest because I work at Token Metrics and plan on investing in this crowdfund. But the way I would answer that question is simply look how early it is for Token Metrics and how fast we're growing. So I'm very excited about this crowdfund.
All right, thank you, Forrest. So just to answer a few comments here, people are saying, Michael says, this is amazing, need no pitch. Thank you, appreciate that. James says, over 6 million, why need fundraiser? So this is really an opportunity for community members who ask for this to own a piece of Token Metrics, right? So we did have a seed round last year. That was only for basically high net worth individuals due to regulations. That was a Regulation D fundraise. But this is a Regulation CF crowdfunding, meaning that anybody can invest as little as $100. You don't have to be rich. You can you'll have to just go through the KYC, AML, and all that. But this is really making our platform and company accessible to everybody, right? You don't have to invest, but we're giving you an opportunity to join, right? Because this has been something that has been requested a lot. Lots of people felt like they missed out by not being able to invest in Token Metrics last year, and now we're basically going through the legal process to give you an option, an opportunity to possibly indicate your interest in investing in Token Metrics. With that being said, let's now segue back to the show. I have dropped the link. And once again, the link is wefunder.com/token.metrics. Right, so go there. That has everything, and hopefully we can all go to the moon and beyond together. Okay, so the next element of the deck. Let's go to question of the day. Go to menti.com, menti.com. Use the code 57505081. That's 57505081. Question of the day is, what are you loading your bag with? Is it Bitcoin? Is it Ethereum? DeFi altcoins? Non-DeFi altcoins? Meme coins? Stable coins? Or I'm not buying anything right now? So those are the options. Let's begin with Bill. What are you loading your bag with?
All right. Well, I'm definitely exiting stable coins per my presentation. So it's definitely not number 7. You know what? I'm gonna say the crazy answer. I would say if I had to load a bag in the next 48 hours, I would do it in Bitcoin. And then after I loaded the bag in Bitcoin, I'd wait a week and then I'd do alts. Only because I'm afraid Bitcoin is just going to smoke because the big players are going to chase it. Right. You got a week or two to do alts.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Let's go to Forrest.
Yeah, on all of these wicks that we've seen below 32K or so on Bitcoin, I've been using those dips as opportunities to buy. I've bought Chainlink, Helium, Polkadot, IOTA, but my biggest accumulation on this dip has been Nano, under $5. So I guess my answer would be non-DeFi altcoins because that's where Nano would fit in. But I have been averaging into Chainlink, Polkadot, among some other ones.
All right, thank you, Forrest. So my answer, apologies, we're being pinged by too many alerts of people indicating their interest for the crowdfund. Thank you for the support. If I had to load up on different coins right now, I would say DeFi altcoins and non-DeFi altcoins. So I've kind of gone through this on my watch list. The products I like right now. I mean, there's some products that look really good. They've been on my watch list for a while. But Chia is now basically at 262. Let me just refresh to make sure I have the right price here on my phone. Okay, it's gone up. It's now 273. So I would say Chia is looking pretty good. That's one I would likely would be scooping up. Not quite now, but sometime in the future. And then Alpha Finance. I know it's been wrecked, but Alpha Finance is basically at $100 million valuation, right? And that's looking pretty good. So if the market turns bullish, that's one that I like. Then in terms of other coins, Rally, even BitCloud. I already do have BitCloud. So if you go to, I think it's like bitcloud.com/my handle. I did end up joining BitCloud. Our team did do a code review on that. So I am kind of slowly getting involved in that. Haven't bought any tokens yet. I just kind of got the crypto asset by just creating a profile. But that's what I'm looking into as well. I'm actually trying to get some friends involved in that as well. That's pretty much it for the time being. But let's see what our community has to say. Let me show the results. All right, so the winner is DeFi altcoins, followed by Ethereum, then Bitcoin, then non-DeFi altcoins, then 5, I'm not buying anything. 6, meme coins, 7, stable coins. All right, appreciate everybody who went through that. Tell us what you think. Do you think the community is right? Yes or no? Tell us down below. Let's now shift to the next question. Thought of the week. Is regulator interest good or bad for crypto? The options are, I think it can be a good thing, or I don't think it's a good thing. Do you think we need more regulation? Let's go to Bill.
Okay, so Mr. Market is answering this question as we speak. I have always said on the show that we, as in the crypto community, want a clean market. So if Uncle Sam wants visibility as to how people on-ramp and they want to create Fed coins so that people can on-ramp into crypto in a visible way, great. Fine. Right? If regulators don't like stable coins, that's a little bit of a bummer, but I'm a chart guy, so I don't chart stable coins. So if everyone wants to get out of stable coins and go into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and altcoins, that suits me just fine. I just think that regulators trying to hit the tape and try to FUD the market and break it has backfired. Okay? So yes, we want a clean market, but they threw everything at this crypto market but the kitchen sink, and it held.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Forrest?
Yeah, my view is I don't want regulation, but I view it as inevitable. So the sooner we can get there to a happy medium of some level of regulation, so that the market can kind of quit, getting fudded down by it, then the better. That being said, it is very, very difficult to fully regulate cryptocurrency, and for the people that want privacy, I think there will always be options. Now, they may not be the squeakiest clean options or the most easy to access options, but I think there will always be privacy options in the crypto space available for those who want that. So is it a good thing? I'd say yes, because it's inevitable and we need to get there.
I also agree as well. I mean, I think what's happening with the SEC and the Ripple lawsuit is big for the space. I think a lot more than people even understand, because now for the first time, the SEC will have to go in court and really open up the entire book. They have to open up the whole kimono and tell us how they view crypto assets, securities, and how American companies now can navigate the law, right? From compliance perspective, from a regulation perspective. So whether Ripple wins or loses, we'll now know the exact playbook on how to launch a crypto asset and not be a security, right? So I think this is very, very huge for the space, and I think it's needed for the space. So let's see what the audience has to say. Okay, hold on, apologies. Looks like my screen reset. Give me a second here. So the answer is, I think it can be a good thing. That's what the community thinks. All right, thank you for that. Let's now shift to Crypto Showdown. Top altcoin picks for July. We have three cryptocurrencies. We have Audius, also known as Audio token, Celsius with the Cell token, and Polygon with the Matic token. These are the three cryptocurrencies. Tell us which one you think will have the best month in July. Let's go to Bill.
Okay, I've got a minor technical problem on my side, but I'm going to give you a quick and easy answer. Okay. If Audius started at 0, went to $5, and then bottomed at 60, if there's an altcoin catch-up rally in the second half of July, or if there's an altcoin catch-up rally next week, like Audius could 3x just, and that would only put it back where it kind of was when this started. So you have an opportunity to get a 3x on a coin within its existing range that we happen to think, not investment advice, has long-term potential. So it's a tie in my mind between, people who missed out on the first round of Audius and the people who missed out on the first and second rounds of Matic. I think people are going to chase both. I'll flip a coin, go with Audius.
All right, let's go to Forrest.
Yeah, so long term, if I was just looking to value invest in something based off of this dip, no brainer, Audius. Absolutely. Holding for a long period of time. It's bottomed at like 60 cents after it peaked at $5. I think that is an amazing discount. But if we're looking at just July, and at the end of July, I had to sell, I'm going to go with Celsius. I know that's going to be the unpopular opinion. I do like Audius, and I do think Matic is very strong. Matic did, however, just have a really big run up right before this crash, and we're still in chummy waters. Now the market's bounced since we've started this live stream, but I think the tokenomics behind Celsius make it a very strong token when things are choppy and the bulls and the bears are kind of fighting it out. People are going to be searching for yield on their cryptocurrency, and it's a good token to have in both a bull market and a bear market. So for July, I'm going with Celsius.
All right, thank you, Forrest. So if I had to choose between the three, I would go with Audius. I think the price point is very, very undervalued. I did begin staking this. That was one of my last videos on Moon Mission. I went through how to stake on Audius on TMTV, but Audius was basically under $1, right? So it was pretty much almost down 50% from the price I initially bought it at, because I bought around $1.05, 10 cents or so. So the fact that it went to under $1, it was extremely undervalued for a project that I think is going to be huge long term. To me, that's one I think that I will do very, very well, right? Especially not even from a data perspective, but music is pretty big in the summertime, right? Especially with festivals, people are going out, things are opening. So I can see music really doing pretty well this summer. And July and Audius to me makes a lot of sense. So let's see what the community has to say. Drum rolls, please. Audius, all right. So the audience agrees, and they believe Audius will have the best month in July. Thank you for that. Let's now segue to the next section. Okay, so this comes from the forum. Go to the forum by going to forum.tokenmetrics.com. Where/how are you guys purchasing armor? I know there's several ways to accomplish this. However, I'm curious to hear from the community how some are obtaining armor. For me, I use 1inch Exchange. That's my default DEX aggregator. There are others as well, like Paraswap, but that's the one I use. It basically routes liquidity from lots of DEXs, from SushiSwap to Uniswap, and so on. And I don't think anybody else on the team has armor financed it. So let's go to the next question. Rather, let's actually go to the Token Metrics AMA. So go to menti.com, MENTI.com, and use the code 5750 5081. Okay, the question is, Ian, have you chosen which Helium validator service you will use? Very good question, very good question. We actually, for those who don't know, Helium has announced staking. So Helium staking is coming. They're waiting for 100 validators to launch. Now, we actually did cover this to our customers on the professional plan during our weekly webinar, where I basically did a deep dive on this. And I'll probably make this also an upcoming episode on Moon Mission. And I'll go through and actually probably just show how to stake with Helium. So for my research, there are basically two that I feel comfortable with. The first one is Bison Trails, but my understanding is you have to be a whale pretty much for that. I think you have to, because some people on our team reached out to Bison Trails. Bison Trails is basically owned by Coinbase, right? So to speculate, I think we could have a possible Coinbase listing for Helium Network. Not financial advice, but historically, Coinbase has listed projects during a huge fundamental shift or catalyst event. For example, when Matic Network switched and changed their entire use case to Polygon, that's when they ended up on Coinbase. And with Helium launching staking and 5G coming out in Q3, Q4, and Bison Trails, which is owned by Coinbase, adding Helium staking, I mean, to me, it leads me to speculate even more that a possible Coinbase listing is coming sometime this year. But that's just pure speculation. So that's one I do plan to look into. But from people in my network who reach out to the team, you have to have, I believe, minimum 5 to 10 validators, and each validator has to have minimum 10,000 HNT tokens. So at the current price levels, it's basically a ton of money. The other one, which I likely will use, depending on what their minimum is stakes.us, I believe. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to pull up all these different sites here. So these are the most legit, in my opinion, because, I mean, Coinbase adding, okay, so looking at this, yes. So stake.us looks like there's an option to begin staking Helium now, HNT tokens now. I think you have to go through and apply. Now, these seem to be more institutional grade, making them more legit, but there might be a higher threshold in terms of what you have to stake. But we'll definitely go through, do a deep dive on this. There are a few other sites I looked into. Some seem good, some seem not so good, but I'll do a full in-depth video on Moon Mission coming up soon. Forrest or Bill, any comments on staking for Helium?
I mean, it's a strong fundamental addition, and recently, and we went over this on Wednesday. If we cut over to my screen real quick, I mean, Helium looks very, very good in terms of how it's handled this dip. It's actually held support at $9 multiple times, and if for I believe our pro customers in the webinar on Wednesday, we talked about how this is a potentially very, not financial advice, but a strong entry point under $10, because while the rest of the market has been dipping, and obviously Helium has seen very strong price action to the upside, followed by a 50% dip, it's just kind of been channeling sideways. Yet the fundamentals have changed. They're adding staking, they're going into 5G, and you can still get this Helium at these entry points because of this current market situation. So the fundamentals haven't changed, the price has, and the price is on discount. So a big fan of Helium right now.
All right, thank you, Forrest. Okay, all right, let's move on to the next question. Can we get a price prediction for Alpha? All right, maybe Bill, any update on Alpha, or maybe TA on Alpha?
Okay, let me bring my screen up.
All right, so as Bill brings that up.
All right, here we go.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so with Alpha, okay, so Alpha's got to do a couple things, right? The first thing it has to do is take out 40 cents, right? Alpha has been basing, so I'm not going to say the bigger the base, the higher in the space. I'm just going to say it has to take out 40 cents for it to do well. Now, when it comes to where you could start expecting a larger reversal, I would say that's right here at 53 cents. So if the person is asking for a price prediction for alpha, I would say there's going to be an attack of 53 cents. Okay, if there's an attack of 53 cents, we're going to see whether or not this is a coin that is undervalued and people are going to go after, or we're going to find out if it's just dead and they're just going to continue to sell it, and that's the end, right? So this is very similar to what Forrest was talking about with Bitcoin a while ago. It's so beat up that there's going to be a retest of an important level. I'm saying that level is 53 cents. Depending on what happens there will depend on the future of alpha. That's how I'm looking at it.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Okay, so let's go on to the next question. So far, how is this cycle different from 2017? So how is this market cycle different from 2017 versus right now? Let's go to Forrest. Your thoughts in terms of this market cycle and how it's different?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest difference is we had a big event, and let me zoom out here on my screen. We had a big event, aka a pandemic, that drove prices very low, very early on in this market cycle. And you can make the argument, and I'm going to try to thicken up this trend line here, and I'm going to make it red so that you can see it easier. Right? You could make the argument that really everything above this line or everything below this red trend line, this red dash trend line, is artificially suppressed Bitcoin price. And then when we kind of got, saw a light at the end of the tunnel in October, towards the end of the year, we started seeing, vaccinations, potentially things started opening back up, a light at the end of the tunnel, as well as some core fundamentals and adoption for Bitcoin kicking in. We saw very, very, very sharp price action. Basically, we jetted right back up onto this trend line, and then we separated from this trend line. So we kind of saw the beginning of this market cycle be very, very, very slow because of a pandemic. And then we saw everything catch up all at once. We overshot. We actually saw the pi cycle top indicator cross over actually towards the top of this peak here. And then the other way it's different is, and I think there's an argument to be made that it's because we saw such sharp upside all at once, we're seeing a deeper correction. We're seeing a much deeper correction, not much deeper. We've seen 40%ers in the past, and this one is 53 to 55%. So not all that much bigger of a correction. And like I said, I'm not too worried about the integrity of this bull market until we convincingly drop below 50% and hold down there. But that's the main thing. We've had a lot of external events affect the price of Bitcoin this market cycle.
All right, thank you, Forrest. Bill, any thoughts on this?
Yes, couple. So let's talk about a pandemic. So you can quote all of these statistics that don't really register. So how about this? I'm having a conversation with someone yesterday, and they made an offhand comment when discussing the pandemic that they have personally lost 16 close relatives to COVID-19. Now, that statistic to me is more powerful than some of these larger statistics about, people passing away across the world. One person can lose 16 relatives. You have an event that is more in line with the reason Satoshi wrote the Bitcoin white paper. In other words, Bitcoin and that white paper and crypto was created for the day when you had something happen where people were going to need an alternative form of money. Now, in 2017, crypto was clearly an investing and speculative curiosity, as it still is today. The difference is people need it. It may be a minor need. It may be an investor need, an investing need. It might be life and death. Or it may be survive, not survive, or the difference between surviving and thriving. So it's a more serious environment. And it's an environment where being educated about the crypto space will make you more money. Now that we're post meme coin, being educated about crypto will pay off, I think, long term more than the sort of FOMO based movement in 2017.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next question. If you are a value investor and not a trader, when do you sell? Do you wait until the 2024 bull market or the 2028 bull market? At what point does a value investor sell? Great question. Great question. I view myself as a value investor. And to make it super simple, a value investor, you want to buy low, sell high. You want to buy in a bear market, sell or take profits in a bull market. It's as simple as that, right? So you basically are riding the cycle, right? Right now we're in a bull market, right? So most people would be taking profit. Most value investors would be taking some profits during this bull market, right? And textbook examples are products that were on sale at steep discounts during the bear market, from Helium to Polygon to Ethereum, even Bitcoin, right? You basically, a value investor would have bought Bitcoin at 3-4K, taking profits at 50 to 60K, right? That's ideally what you do as a value investor. Now, whether or not it's the bull market in possibly 2024, 2028, that's up to you, right? Now, there are some assets maybe that a value investor would not sell for a long, long time. Like for me right now, I believe strongly in Ethereum, Ether, and I don't really have any plans to sell Ether anytime soon. If anything, I'll just borrow against my Ether because there are options available to borrow against your Ether without having to create a taxable event. Forrest, any comments on this?
Yeah, so completely agree. I like charts a lot and I like trend lines a lot. So if we just cut over my screen really quick, I'm looking to sell the tops of the channels, which kind of usually overlap with the same fundamentals of what Ian's saying. You try to buy from the pessimists and sell to the optimists, right? I believe I'm quoting Ian there, unless he was quoting someone else.
Howard Marks. Yeah.
Howard Marks. There we go. So I like to identify these price action channels, right? We want to buy at the bottom of the channel, right? On this green, the bottom of this trend line. We want to accumulate all along the bottom of these trend lines. And then we want to talk about taking profits towards the top of them, right? And it's not going to be perfect every time. And you don't have to. The big thing that I think a lot of people, the big mistake people make is they feel like they have to sell everything all at once. You can sell 5% because you think there's things are potentially overbought, right? We're getting above this trend line and things are crazy, and Ethereum's run from $1,300 up to $4,300 in a matter of weeks, right? With very little stoppage on the way. When things get overheated and they're towards the top of structural trend lines, bringing in some technical analysis, I like to take some profits. I like to shave off the top, take out my initial investment, take 5. You can sell 5%, and it doesn't feel like you're getting rich when you're selling 5%. But when you sell 5% at 4,300 and then you rebuy with that 5% down at 2,000, then you're essentially doubling that crypto. Not only are you taking 5% on whatever your profits you accumulated or whatever crypto you accumulated, you're also rebuying and potentially doubling down on a really good investment at a much lower price. So I like to use trend lines, but completely agree with all of the fundamentals behind what Ian's saying.
All right, let's go to Bill.
Okay, so as a value investor, you want to sell when you see things like, I got the New York Times headline here that says everyone is getting hilariously rich. Okay, let me get the title. Hang on. Everyone is getting hilariously rich and you're not. Okay, with two guys posing with crypto Christmas sweaters. So when you're wearing a lampshade on your head or you're looking at your portfolio and you're absolutely stunned and wowed by what you see, that can be the sell point. Now, it can take, if you're a value investor, a long time to get to that level. So, like, for example, for me, the next value investor sell point could be perhaps at the end of this year or Q4, possibly, because I think the run-up could be that big. There may be an opportunity to buy Warren Buffett style or Ian Balina style in 2022. And the end of the next mega bull market is probably the end of 2025. So you are correct. Think in 4 or 5 year increments or 44-month increments for GAN fans out there. But it's easy to say, buy it when it's down and sell it when it's up. You have to be aware of your own emotions and others' emotions. So when do you sell? When other people aren't just optimistic, they're euphoric.
All right, thank you, Bill. Let's now shift to the next question. In terms of internet years, is it currently 1995? Wow, great question, great question. So, in terms of internet years, is it 1995? I think that maybe let's go to Bill for this one because
Right.
I was a baby back then.
Right. All right. So for this one, the fact that I'm a walking, talking market museum, it will be helpful. I believe in internet years, it's 1998. It's the dawn of personal computing and Windows and Excel and data management. Now, that to me correlates with Web3, right? Web3 like Audius, right? It's going to be crypto that's usable. So back then in the 90s, the internet and personal computing transformed from something that you had to be a programmer to use. For example, you had to be a programmer to build a website until Microsoft came out with Microsoft Front Page 98. And then, lo and behold, yours truly could publish research and develop a website and load it himself without a programmer. Web3, Polkadot. Anybody notice Forrest was buying Polkadot earlier? Okay. Polkadot, Ethereum, Web3. People using crypto without knowing they're using crypto. NFTs, right? That's a way for people to say, okay, you know what? Just like with Windows, I want to get involved. I want a computer. I want to get on the internet. People bought computers to just say, hey, I want to see what's on the internet. Seriously. And this is going to be like Web3. Like, hey, there's an NFT. What? My favorite football team is back in America in August, and there's cool football cards on the web, on crypto, on the blockchain. I got to buy Ethereum. Oh, I'm doing it. So the answer is 1998. The other answer is don't forget about Web3, because I don't know why everyone's selling Polkadot below 20, okay? But I know Forrest doesn't care because he's scooping it up, right? As are a lot of probably really smart traders because, again, Polkadot, ETH, Web3, it's coming. So the answer to the question is 1998, and don't forget about Web3.
All right, thank you, Bill. Okay, so if you're enjoying this live stream, please smash the like button, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Not being in crypto is a financial crime. This is the future of money. Spread the word, and we definitely appreciate all the support. Okay, all right, so next question. Is there a reliable way to predict what prices crypto assets will crash to in the next bear market? Well, I mean, let's go to Forrest for that because that's pretty much what you do, right? With the forecasts.
Yeah. So was the question particularly on altcoins or just anything in general?
Anything in general, crypto in general.
Yeah, so typically, historically, what we've seen is some of the larger projects pull 80 to 85% corrections, such as Ethereum. I believe we saw I think Ethereum saw a 96% correction towards the bottom. Let me double check, right? Yeah, so
That sounds about right.
94% correction. Yeah. So, guys, I personally think altcoins, the good projects will hold up a little bit better in a potential bear market, right? So I don't think we're in a bear market yet. As we discussed towards the beginning of this live stream, I think we potentially have a large move to the upside. We still have 180 days at least in this cycle if we copy previous cycles in terms of 4 years or lengthening cycle theory. But altcoins do drop historically a lot. I mean, a lot of even solid projects that did bounce back saw over 90% corrections. Now, one of the reason for those 90% corrections are these violent moves upward, right? I don't think we saw a big enough move upward to see 90+% corrections based off of where we have recently peaked, right? So I'll cut over to the Bitcoin chart for just a moment to show you, right? We saw Bitcoin move from, we'll call it $201 at the bottom of its, market cycle, at the bottom of its bear market before the 2017 peak, right, up to almost $20,000, a massive move upwards. So then a 85% correction isn't actually that bad in comparison to where we started. So these corrections are very, very large, but you need an absolutely massive, basically the higher the upside, the deeper the correction can be. And I've gone through and I've measured in the past some potential 70 to 85% corrections from our market or popular market cycle predictions for Bitcoin and altcoins this market cycle, right? If we just use easy math, right, and say 100K Bitcoin is what we see this market cycle, and obviously we kind of already peaked at 65K, but a lot of people for a long time were saying 100K. A 70% correction brings us down to 30K. An 85% correction brings us down to 15K. So the question is, do you think Bitcoin can drop down to 15K? Probably not, especially if we go to 100K, right? So I think for us to see these big corrections, we need to see further upside. But to answer your question, in short, altcoins typically looking for at least an 85% correction, at least this market cycle and this bear market, because that's what we saw for Bitcoin in the previous bear market. Now, obviously, you had to wait very patiently to snipe that 85%, the 85% dip. But if we start averaging into altcoins once they've dipped 80 to 85% and their maximum drawdown ends up being 90 to 95%, then we're able to accumulate an average in over a period of time. So just keep in mind, historically, altcoins can drop over 90%. That doesn't mean that the overall total cryptocurrency market cap in altcoin space isn't still growing. It's because we see these huge swings in this volatility, the upside, that we can drop 90% and still see long-term growth, if that makes sense.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. Bill, how about you? Can we predict where the market is going or crashing to in a bear market?
Yes. In a bear market, everything goes to zero. And I'm not joking. So I am joking and not. So let's clarify what I think is happening in the market right now. We're in a gut-wrenching correction in bull markets. People who have been watching the stream for a while will know that, in the past, I've talked about stages that bull markets can go through, right? There's the disbelief stage. Then there's a stage where people go, oh, I can't buy it. It's too expensive. I already missed it. And then it 3Xs. And then there are these like multi-week or multi-month shakeouts that just cause revulsion, but they don't completely crack the market technically. Like, for example, Bitcoin normally does a 40% correction, and this one is pressing everyone's nerves by doing 50 or 55. Okay. So I think what's happening now, bigger picture, bigger coins, is corrective. In 2022, there's probably going to be something not so good happens. And that's when you get these 85 and 90% markdowns, along with probably the elimination of cryptos that just won't make it, right? In other words, you can't assume every crypto is going to make it. Every DeFi platform, every, Ethereum competitor is not going to make it through the next bear market. So I can make a joke about zero, but it's actually not a joke, because if you pull up the biggest coins, or if you put up the top 50 market cap from, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago, it all looks totally different. So the bear markets change the entire landscape.
All right. Thank you, Bill. So my thoughts, yeah, I agree. Basically, any project with no fundamental or value goes to zero, or as close to zero as possible. That's why I think having a long-term outlook and only investing in projects that you think will be around in the next 5 to 10 years, right? Because right now there's also speculation. So all these meme coins, all these doggy coins I would say all these doggy coins in the next 5 years, they're probably all dead, all going to zero. Right? Just go back to all the last projects. Just go look at the top 100 market cap every single year. It's basically constant musical chairs. I mean, just for example, Neo. Neo used to be a top 10 coin. Now its market cap is down to 44, right? Or for example, back in 2017, Stratus was a top 20 altcoin at one point, right? Basically, it was that Windows C Sharp, I think, or Windows.NET blockchain. Now it's in like outside the top 200, I believe. Right. So altcoins are constantly changing every single time. There's lots of innovation happening, and there's constant musical chairs. So if you want to predict what's going to happen, just look at projects that have not launched yet, that are vaporware. They're going to zero, right? They're going to, or as close to zero as it gets. Right. That's why we think having projects that have actual fundamentals, or even launched a product, those will still be around, right? That's how you predict what's going to do well. But tell us what you think down below in the comments. So let's check in here with the audience and see how we're doing. Lewis says accumulating ETH now and long term. Okay, that's good. Lots of interest in refinance. Okay, we'll have to look into that. I think we've covered that in the past. Okay, James says everyone says they're the next Web3, but only Nia will claim the title. I'm not sure about that. Dan says, why don't Ian and Bill own Polkadot? I mean, Polkadot is great, but for me right now, it makes no sense, right? Great technology, but it's early. I have lots of upside in Ethereum and also in altcoins, right? So I believe I can get the same returns elsewhere, but I do know Forrest does love Polkadot a lot. Bill, any comments on why you don't own Polkadot?
Yes, because I was waiting for the conclusion of this gut-wrenching correction. Honestly, it's easier because the market has upticked during the live stream, right? But prior to the live stream, like the last 2 or 3 days, I'm like, oh my God, what is going to happen to this thing? But the bottom line is Polkadot is, everyone loved it at 50. No one likes it below 20. So I was just waiting for a discount.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Lewis says, just preserve some stock in Tokenmetrics on WeFunder. Big believer in your platform. Thank you. We appreciate that. Tokenmetrics family, I definitely appreciate the support. Pablo says, everything goes to zero but Bitcoin. All right. Very interesting words over there, Pablo. All right. Let's see. How's Armor's outlook look? Right now, it's definitely getting crushed. For me, I'm just staking and forgetting. I'm not even looking at it. And that's pretty much it. Okay, all right. Let's go back to the AMA and see what you guys want us to cover. Okay, so in Alchemix, if we borrow USD with ETH as collateral, if APY in Yearn Finance is 25 to 30%, then we can get back our ETH in 3 years. What happens if APY reduces in future to 1%? Then it would take decades. Yes, that is true. That is true. Right. I believe, to my understanding, Alchemix puts the money in Yearn Finance into their DAI vault, if I'm not mistaken. So you have to look at the APY, because I think it's actually I guess last time I looked at it, it was probably 6%. So it can take a while, right? But that's kind of the risk you're taking by investing into Alchemix and borrowing against your ETH or even your USD. Right now, ETH has been paused until they fix their solvency issue because for those who don't know, they had their debacle with Ethereum, where they basically give away free ETH and they're asking for the community to return the free ETH. But to me, I think it's a short-term hiccup. Long-term, I'm still bullish in the project, but that's basically how that works. Anybody with any thoughts in terms of the risks of having to have your collateral possibly dip with APY?
Yeah, the alternative is to pay interest, right? So you can either earn interest regardless of how big or small it is, and yeah, it might fluctuate. It might drop from 7% to 2%, but would you rather take a loan out and pay 3% and a fluctuating interest rate that might even go up? So Alchemic still makes sense as long as you can earn interest, even if the interest was like 0.5%. It still makes sense to earn money versus pay interest.
Great. Thank you, Forrest. Next question. Is it a good time to start accumulating Casper Labs? Will you be investing yourself? So, myself, not right now. It is on my watch list, but I have no plans to buy it at the current moment. But I am watching it. I think, if anything, if I ever do buy Casper Labs, I think it will likely be probably in a bear market, not right now. I think right now the market is too frothy. I mean, there's been a large altcoin correction, but I think still, right? If anything, I would expect the market to tank 95% or more for altcoins in a bear market. Right now, I feel like we're not quite in a bear market. That's when I would look into possibly getting Casper Labs myself. Bill, any thoughts on Casper and accumulating?
Okay, when it comes to Casper, I mean, I can pull. Let me pull the chart up. Let's do the chart first. So a lot of people like this. Okay, it obviously, this is an 89-minute chart. It got completely destroyed, as did a lot of other coins that people liked. Okay, and now it looks like it's coming off its bottom. So here's how I would do Casper. Right? Is Casper better than the following coins? Is it better than VeChain? Is it better than Polkadot? Is it better than Cardano? Is it better than Dash? Now, in some cases, the answer is yes, maybe. But I would make sure that, if you're going to like jump into this with a lot of money, that you can answer that question of why you liked it to begin with. But this definitely looks like it's making some sort of major bottom. It may have just washed everyone out. I just would caution you to remember, make sure you understand why you liked it to begin with.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Okay, let's go on to the next question. If you had $50,000 to invest in the market right now, how would you allocate it? A very popular question, but let's answer this question again. Forrest, if you had $50,000, how would you allocate it in the market?
Yeah, right now we're in a dip, so I might look into some. Well, I'm bullish, and I think there's high upside, right, to be had. However, I might look into some yield-bearing assets, whether it's staking or yield farming or even stablecoin yield farming, to allocate part of that 50,000 in. The rest I'm looking to diversify. And all I'm looking, if I'm investing a lump sum right now, is I'm looking at the delta between where something's currently priced and where I think it could go in the future. So for me, Helium looks really good right now. So does Audius in terms of where the price currently is off of this dip and where it could potentially go. Dot is another one, under $20. I thought it was undervalued at 40 or 50 for this market cycle. So probably Dot, Helium, Audius. For me, every time I run this exercise through my brain, I know I'm unpopular in this opinion, but whenever I look at the delta of where something's currently priced and where I think it could go in the future, what it could be valued at, Nano always comes out on top by a large margin. So those are four that I'd probably be looking to diversify into. And then obviously Ethereum. Ethereum is just a very, very strong asset and potentially a strong store of value that you can also earn interest on through various DeFi measures. Chainlink, another one. So there's 6 or 7. I'm not going to go into actual allocations. I would need to spend more time to look at that.
All right, thank you, Forrest. How about you, Bill?
Okay, on this, I think you keep it simple. So I'm going to be a little bit more direct and try to do not financial advice. So, you just do 4 simple sectors, right? There's Bitcoin, Ethereum, perhaps a DeFi index. You know what I'm saying? Like, DeFi Pulse or anything that gives you exposure to like large DeFi altcoins like Aave and Chainlink, but as a group. So there's Bitcoin, Ethereum, DeFi, and cash, as in like US dollars in a Coinbase account, not stable coins. I know you can earn interest on it. You could pay me 25% interest. I understand about like using Alchemix to not have a taxable event. I respect that. I get it. But you can't pay me enough interest to fight the Fed. I'm not doing that if the Fed's pissed. Okay. So Bitcoin, ETH, DeFi, cash, not investment advice.
All right, thank you, Bill. Yeah, for me, if I have $50,000 to invest, I'm basically either going into the tokenomics indices, whether Coinbase or all exchanges or Uniswap or what have you, or I'm going through projects that we have scored highly on a code review and allocating maybe 10% into the top 10. So projects I like, right? Projects with great fundamentals or great code review scores. So if I have 50K, I'll get Helium Network, I'll get Polygon, Ethereum, I'll get Chia Network, Alchemix, Audius. Those are probably the top ones I'll be investing in. Maybe even some Solana, actually, right? Kind of having a hedge towards Ethereum, right? So maybe Solana, maybe even Cardano, because those do have great technology. Maybe even Polkadot, right? I can definitely see that. Definitely, I would have an exchange play. I would have Uniswap, possibly some SushiSwap or 1inch Exchange. But I mean, even Aave, I think is definitely up there in terms of the quality project in DeFi. It's one of the DeFi kings. So those are projects I would be looking to allocate capital to. Tell us what you think. What projects would you allocate if you had $50,000 to? Somebody's mentioning here Gitcoin, Celsius, Terra Luna. Yeah, Terra Luna is actually very, very legit. That scored very well. AVAX, which is Avalanche. Avalanche is all right. It scored like a 70 something on our code review, but it's very, very early in our opinion. All right, so keep those comments coming. People are saying VeChain, Phantom. All right, I appreciate those comments. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Okay, a question is, if we invest in the crowdfund through WeFunder, will the company invest in top crypto projects and we get profits as it goes up? Why not have a token of your own and we buy the token? Good question. I'm trying to see how we can best navigate our response to this. That being said, regarding the crowdfund, go to wefunder.com/token.metrics. So this is a page for you to indicate interest in our regulated crowdfund. We're not buying any securities. Go back to the disclosure we mentioned earlier, right? This is for Tokenmetrics Inc., the company, right? And as a possible equity owner, you would have the upside and all the profits the company would generate. That's probably the simplest response I can give, right? So you can imagine the possibilities available, right? But as a somebody who owns a piece of the company would have the upside, right? Everything else, we're always exploring several options on how we can add more value to our shareholders, right? Or even possible future shareholders. And we will always keep our options open. And that's probably the best way I can answer that question, unfortunately. But definitely do check out the pitch on the WeFunder platform. Okay, all right, let's go on to the next question. Which low cap coins have the best teams? Very, very good question. Let's go to Forrest. Do you recall which projects you've covered in the past that had very, very good teams?
Yeah, off the top of my head, it's going to be a little bit tougher. Audius and Chia Network for sure have very strong teams, and I feel like I reviewed a project possibly this week. I think I did review a project this week that we put out on Token Metrics TV, but it's still very, very early. They don't have a website yet, so and they had a very strong team. But off the top of my head, it's tough. I'd have to go through and look at our database.
Yeah, I mean, I would just assume all the projects that scored high on the code review or even fundamentals, right? So projects that scored over 90 that come to mind. So we had Ethereum, Polkadot, Cardano, Audius, Chia Network, Integral Dex. Those are the ones that come to mind that scored very, very high. Well, actually, Idle Finance as well. So those are the ones that come to mind. So if anybody else knows any projects with great teams you like, let us know down below. Okay, so let me see. Okay, for the remainder of 2021, which crypto sector will produce the biggest gains? Is it DeFi, NFTs, meme tokens, launchpads, etc.? So which sector will do the best in 2021? Let's go to Bill.
Well, that's quite a question. I think the simple answer that I'm going to go with, it's an easy answer given that the house we work for, I think it's ETH. I think ETH unto itself is a sector. I think, EP 1559, the move to ETH 2.0 is going to be the story for the rest of the year. It's going to be the equivalent of the Bitcoin halving. So, this is a situation where obviously I like the DeFi altcoins. I own some of them, but I think ETH is going to be where it's at for the balance of this year.
All right, let's go to Forrest.
I'm gonna throw you guys a curveball and say meme coins because I mean, just the way that you worded the question, I think meme coins generally have some of the highest returns. They also just have the most risk, and they have such excessive risk that the risk outweighs the returns. So I know that's kind of a smart aleck answer, but there's going to be meme coins that pump 5,000x from the bottom just because they're pump and dumps with that. They're waiting for the top to rug pull, and then you're putting money back into marketing, and you have insane returns, but the risk in actually finding those meme coins, it's just not even worth it. So I do not condone playing that game at all. But if I cross out meme coins and don't give the smart aleck answer, DeFi and NFTs, probably DeFi, because I think we're closer in terms of adoption hitting mainstream. I think NFTs are conceptually there. People are starting to understand it and see the value and speculate in that area. But I think DeFi is more fundamentally applicable and less speculative. And we can see a lot of rapid growth in DeFi. Not a huge fan of launchpads personally. But yeah, I'd say DeFi. NFTs still have a lot of meat left on the bone longer term, but shorter term, I think DeFi. And then, of course, technical answer, smart aleck answer, meme coins, but I don't want to play that game at all.
All right, thank you, Forrest. So this is actually a very tough question to answer. So I do agree with Forrest. If you're looking to just for pump and dumps, definitely meme coins or whatever is the next version of that or the next wave of that. Because in crypto, you basically have these waves, right? These narratives that take off. So NFTs, and we had tokens, even launchpad tokens. So if I had to predict which narrative will be next, if anything, I would just say layer one protocols. So basically, layer one blockchains, because we had the Ethereum layer one, then we had Polkadot back in DeFi summer last year, then we had Solana. Actually, prior to that, there was also Terra Luna. So I would say there'll be some new blockchain that's big, whether that's Casper or some other blockchain that basically just copies all these other projects, right? They'll just basically build their own launchpad on their layer one protocol or fork and do a Uniswap on Casper Labs or some other blockchain, right? There'll be some new blockchain or some blockchain that was undervalued, whether it's Avalanche maybe, right? But basically, I think the copy and paste model will continue in 2020 and 2021, right? So if anything, it could be Cardano, because Cardano, I believe, is launching smart contracts, I think in August, I believe, right? So if all these use cases that have been proven out on Ethereum are being copied and pasted to Cardano or some other layer one protocol, I think those are the projects that could possibly do well. But I still think there'll be vaporware, there'll be pump and dumps, you could possibly get rug pulled. So if anything, there'll just be pure speculation. And when I see that, I just imagine put less than 1% of your portfolio into anything that's pure speculation. Basically, treat it as a trade and get in, get out, and understand that you could possibly lose everything. But that's where I see 2021 going. Great question. Okay, so next question. In your opinion, which token would you buy in the current situation in order to get the maximum profit? Okay, let me rephrase that. So you basically are saying, right now, what cryptocurrency would we buy today, right now, that we think has the best upside? For me personally, I would say if you had to force me to buy a cryptocurrency right now, I'll probably buy Chia Network or Alchemix. Those are probably the top two. I already have some Alchemix, but Chia, that's one actually I don't have. I've been trying to plot it, but it's taken forever. Don't get me. I mean, that's a whole different story. But probably Chia Network. That's especially at the current price levels that I like. Third, I'd probably say Audius. Audius under $1 is very, very attractive. Let's go to Bill.
Well, since Forrest started it, I would say the smart aleck answer to that could be Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin could launch itself to 100K short term. I think when I look at the altcoin universe, we were looking at coins like Badger that were going to bring DeFi to Bitcoin. All right. Also, we go back to this whole Polkadot trade. Can you imagine what is going to happen with Polkadot? Kusama started at 20. Ian and I were on a live stream with Oh Hey Maddie. I put up a chart of Kusama. It was at 20. Oh Hey Maddie's like, hang on, guys, while I just buy some. Kusama went to 550. Okay. So if Polkadot has been left for dead on the side of the road as Web3 is about to take off, why not look at Polkadot?
All right. Thank you, Bill. Forrest?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough question without like a timeline or a risk profile and understanding what the rest of your portfolio looks like. If you're just talking about one coin, I'd probably go with something that has some level of diversification built into that one coin, and that would probably be Ethereum because there's so many use cases on Ethereum. I think ETH is just the kind of the safe bet. The tokenomics are changing in the near future. So I would go Ethereum. Now, if you're looking for something, that, and you're already well diversified and you have a higher risk profile, or you're looking to diversify your risk, all the ones, everything Bill and Ian just mentioned, Alchemix, Audio, Chia. I'd also throw in Nano personally because that's a token or a coin that I speculate on. But yeah, everything they just said. But if you want something safer and you're looking for just one thing, I think Ethereum has enough diversification and use cases built into the one token, as well as really, really solid tokenomics. And it's eventually in the very near future going to be a very good store of value. I think Ethereum.
All right. Thank you. Let's go on to the next question. Will we be facing a lot of competition from hedge funds and the like in the bear market? All right. Very interesting question. Let's go to Bill.
Okay, so is he referring to, is Token Metrics going to receive competition in the bear market? Is that the question, or is it?
No, I mean, I think just retail investors and traders. That's my understanding of the question.
Okay, so they call it a bear market for a reason. I'm not sure if you've ever seen what a bear does when it's angry or it's hungry. So in a bear market, you don't have to worry about hedge funds because they all blow up. I'm serious. Now, some hedge funds, quant hedge funds, do well. So in a bear market, you're competing with guys who know math. I know on the live stream, you only see, 3, maybe 4 people from Token Metrics, but we've got quite the math department ourselves. So when you're in a bear market, you are competing with machines, AI, and quant hedge funds. Regular hedge funds, most of the time, jokes aside, they get really hurt.
All right. Thank you, Bill. First, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'd say probably your only competition. I mean, retail completely goes away in bear markets. There's no other retail competition. Like, competition dries up to a bone in bear markets. There's a large portion of retail has already left the market. They've already cashed it in and said, it's a bear market. I'm just they either sold and got burned, or they sold and took profits, or they're just deciding to hodl until price goes back up. And maybe it does in the short term here, or maybe it takes a while for us to see another bull market. But regardless, retail goes away so fast in 6 months, a year into a bear market. The competition doesn't even matter because it's so low in a bear market.
Yeah, I mean, I would also add on to that by saying there's no competition. I mean, it's a ghost town. That's why that's the best time to invest is in a bear market, because there's zero competition almost, right? I mean, because I've known projects that people would now basically give their right arm for to buy at a discount. But in a bear market, these projects were begging for money, and nobody would even talk to them, right? So in a bear market, there's no competition. If anything, don't worry about it. But a good question. Okay, let's move on to the next question. When you look back to the peak of the crypto bull market in 2017, 2018, who are the people that timed it perfectly? I recall Charlie Lee selling all of his Litecoin near the top. Yes, I mean, Charlie Lee definitely timed that to the T, right? Let's go to Forrest. Do you know anybody who you think timed it perfectly?
I'm trying to think, but I'm on the spot. I'm trying to. The one that comes to mind is Charlie Lee. If I think of anybody, then I'll absolutely come back to it.
How about you, Bill?
Well, I don't know anybody who timed it perfectly, but I do know somebody that as soon as Bitcoin futures started trading, I don't know if that was at the exact high, but I do know some hedge funds that as soon as that contract was available, because remember, a standard hedge fund wasn't getting access to perpetuals at that point, really. That was all basically BitMEX related. I do know some guys that shorted the Bitcoin futures contract the day it came out, which was more or less the high.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also know somebody in Miami, actually, at a conference we had, when CME announced Bitcoin futures, he said he's out. He cashed out Bitcoin at like 17K. Ended up actually buying back in at 3K. But I definitely recall back when he said, hey, because he was a Wall Street guy in private equity, and said, now you can short Bitcoin, so I'm out. One other person comes to mind, I think Vitalik. Now, if I recall correctly, Vitalik cashed out and sold some ETH back in 2018, if I recall correctly. And I think that was to make a donation. And also the Ethereum Foundation. So actually, I pulled up this article here. Let me see if this is. Yeah, so it says this is from the bitcoinist.com. Basically, Vitalik Buterin, Ethereum Foundation made 100 million by selling ETH at all-time high. This was 2 years ago, right? So, and I think the wallet addresses are public. So if anything, just watch what the Ethereum Foundation does and what Vitalik does, right? If they sell ETH to donate, that's probably time for you to also take some profits because they definitely have some kind of information that helps them, right? I won't say insider information, but they definitely do have, I would say, subject matter experts around them who can give them guidance, right? So outside of that, don't really see anybody else that comes to mind. But if we do, we'll let you know. Let me check in the comments and see if anybody else here has anybody that comes to mind. Mr. Peasy says Ed Bugos timed it perfectly. Okay, don't know who that is, but definitely we'll look into that. Appreciate that. Okay, all right. So let's check in here with the audience and see where we are. Elon Musk says I got Kusama for $11 and ETH for $72. Okay, that's good. Thank you for that. Vape says, would like to see Forrest explain how Nano with a fee-less network has any token metrics. Forrest, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so basically Nano passes all of the benefits that would normally come with fees to the user. So typically cryptocurrencies or networks have some sort of consensus mechanism, whether it's proof of work or proof of stake, that runs on a distributed network of nodes. Nano has that, but the node runners and the node operators that confirm transactions actually operate those at their own expense for free. And the incentive behind doing that is to to make the network free, to pass the utility onto the users, the benefit onto the users. But the idea is that there will always be an incentive to run nodes and scale the network, because anybody with a significant stake in Nano will be incentivized to run a node. I'm personally looking into running a node, and running a node is very, very inexpensive. I believe it's like you can use almost any cheap. It's like 4 gigabytes of RAM and a very low spec processor, and like $5 a month in power to run the node. So it's very, very inexpensive. And the idea is that as businesses and people adopt the use of Nano, people will just, out of the goodness of their heart, not really they'll just be incentivized to secure the network because they have a stake in the network, right? If you own a lot of Nano, you want the Nano network to be healthy and scalable and secure. So you'll just pop up a Nano node. They're easy from what I've heard to pop up, and they're very, very inexpensive. Also, in terms of tokenomics, it's a fully distributed supply that was very fairly distributed, and it is static. So there's like 133 million Nano in existence, and there will be no more than that. And there's absolutely zero inflation. So the Nano price is very, very sensitive to increases in demand, and you don't have to worry about inflation over time.
All right, thank you, Forrest. A few more comments here. The Infinite Corner says mining is like a rolling dollar cost average. All right. Mendes says, big fan, guys. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Appreciate that. He says he's also a current member. That's awesome. KG78 says, I think investing in Tokenmetrics Crowdfund sounds exciting. You guys are great. Thank you. We appreciate the support. All right. So let's go back. Actually, Hugo says, FYI, Charlie Lee did not time the top. Those are Litecoin haters who assume that. Well, I mean, he did sell all his Litecoin to, I guess, remove any conflict of interest. But he was definitely up there. He was definitely close to the top, if I recall. Please give opinion on Shiba Inu coin. It's a meme coin, but meme coins have actually ended up surviving, right? Or a few, right? For example, Dogecoin. Dogecoin now actually has actual utility as a currency, to a point where baseball teams and sports teams are accepting Dogecoin. So they've gone from memes and really transcended into currencies. So that is possible. Shiba Inu, I think, I mean, it definitely was a meme coin, but now it's been holding up. I think in the top 30, top 40 market cap, which is surprising. So I mean, if people gravitate to it and use it in real life, it can become a currency. Okay, all right. Let's go back to the AMA. Other than using technical analysis, how do you figure out a realistic price for crypto projects? With stocks, I can use the PE ratio, FCF, DCF, etc. Okay, let's go to Bill.
Okay, so when you're evaluating projects, Token Metrics actually has an elaborate scoring system. I'll let one of our guys get into that. I do believe that in DeFi, one of the things that we like to look at is almost like price to sales or volume traded on the DeFi platform to its current market cap. So I'm pretty sure I don't have the numbers in front of me, but like Sushi Swap right now is probably doing more trading on an up day than the whole coin or whole project is worth. That was what was happening at the top. I don't know where it is right now, but we like to use volume traded to a project divided by the market cap of the project.
All right, thank you, Bill. Let's go to Forrest.
Yeah, so as far as scoring a project, there's tons of different metrics that we look at. As far as evaluating in terms of like what a project should be worth or could potentially be worth in terms of market cap, the two things that I look at are comps and use case. So they kind of go hand in hand, but comparables. So if you look at digital cash solutions, just because we're just talking about Nano, I look at the comps in terms of both technology and in terms of their valuation, their market cap, as well as in terms of adoption. But I think personally that's a little bit less important because we want to be early, and when your early adoption is lower. So if you look at digital cash solutions, Nano versus Dash versus Bitcoin Cash, you compare their technology and then you compare their market caps. Same thing goes for any cryptocurrency. You can compare injective protocol to perp to DYDX. The DYDX doesn't have a token yet, but they're all basically cryptocurrency derivatives platforms focused on futures and perpetuals contracts. You can compare their teams, you can compare their technology, and you compare their market caps, right? If one has very, very solid technology, let's just say, I'm not saying this is how it is, but let's just say Perp had a very, very small market cap, let's say 10 million, and Injective Protocol has a $200 million market cap, yet Injective Protocol's technology is just as good as Injective Protocols, then there's a potential 20x out of Perp, right? Now, those are just numbers I just threw out there, but then you can also look at the total use case, right? Injective might have a $200 million market cap, but is the crypto derivatives and perpetuals use case bigger than $200 million in terms of valuation and market cap? And can Injective Protocol generate enough revenue or fees in order to justify a $1 billion market cap versus the 200 million that it's at? Then those are kind of the things that we look at. So for me, it's comps and use case. How do the comps add up, and then how big is the potential use case?
All right, thank you, Forrest and Bill. I agree as well. I mean, so for me, kind of what Forrest mentioned, I look at similar projects with the same use case, their valuation by the market. Then I compare their technology to this current project and say, okay, is this technology that much better? If a project I think has better technology but has a lower market cap, then I think that's huge upside for that, right? And I basically assume that eventually the market will realize that this is better technology and the valuation of this will increase. That's how we basically were able to find Matic and Polygon, right? Because we knew it was using technology and the valuation was super dirt cheap, basically. But good question. Okay. Let me see what Okay, so let's look at this. I missed Solana and would like to get in at some point. What is a price that would make sense to get in below its trend line? All right, let's go to Forrest. Have you done any updated work on Solana?
I haven't, but I'm happy to chart it out real quick. Solana's actually in a tricky spot. Let's see if I can pull up the chart here. Solana's in a tricky spot because its previous trend line was very, very steep and not something that could be sustained for a long period of time, right? These are linear trend lines on logarithmic scales, which equates to exponential growth. You can't grow exponentially forever because all of a sudden you're growing at such a rapid pace that it's just no longer sustainable. So Solana's in a position where it's actually going to have to start developing a lower, more sustainable trend line, and where that actually comes in is unclear, because as long as this market is in has somewhat bearish momentum or in a correction, we don't exactly know where that will be. However, the trend line that I'm seeing just from looking at recent price action is probably here. We have plenty of price data, old price data along this trend line to justify where we just bounced. However, because we have this large gap, it makes me a little bit uncomfortable to enter right here. I would probably want to see another confirmation bounce off of this particular trend line to know that this trend line is in play. So obviously getting in below $20 is on this trend line and a pretty good entry point, but it would have been difficult to know that that's exactly where we're going to bounce. You could have justified it by looking at all of this historical price data, but again, we have this huge bubble here from Solana going up. I do think Solana is a good project. I think it's going to continue to perform well, more than likely, with the amount of adoption and development going on the platform. But as far as trend line goes, it's very, very tricky after something has just grown at such an exponential pace and actually needs to cool off. Right? We went from $1 to $60. It's 60x'd since in the last 6 months, right? In the first half of the year. So a correction here is completely, I would argue, healthy and something that we'd like to see, but to provide us a better entry point. But it's still in a tough situation to analyze from a trend line perspective. This is the one I'm looking at, and I'm looking for a confirmation here to get back in.
All right, thank you, Forrest. Bill, any thoughts on Solana?
Yes. Let me share my screen. So I have, some GAN work that I did on this. I think you have to ask yourself regarding Solana, do you really believe in this? Okay. I know this went from it was like everyone was ignoring it, everyone paid attention to it, and everyone went back to ignoring it. So my guess is if Solana is going to go up, if the market's going to go up short term, Solana could get to either 35, which is a GAN line, or 43, which is the GAN version of Forrest trend line, right? It's a little bit more subjective. So I would say, you don't want to buy on green days, or you don't want to buy when things are green when you're in the type of market that we're in. So not investment advice, but if you like Solana and you believe it can go to 35 or 43 and you get an ugly red day where, say, you get a dip down to 30 or somewhere like that, you don't have to buy your entire position. You can take a shot because, again, the upside target is either 35 or 43. So if you like it, don't do it on a green day, but you can try it on a red day. And again, you don't even have to do it and put money in. Try it on paper. So with Solana, right, you go from, okay, I bought it at 31 and then check it in 3 or 4 days and say, gee, if I had done that trade, did I make money or not? If the answer is yes, okay, then that's good. Because remember this, friends, it's not a bull market. It's not an up market until you can buy a dip and make money. You can always chase a big green day, but it's not a bull market until you can buy a dip and make money. So you can apply that to Solana, knowing that there's targets above of 35 and 43.
All right. Thank you, Bill. So let's now wrap up the show. I definitely appreciate everybody. Once again, our crypto family, or appreciate the support. And thank you to everybody who's indicated their interest. Once again, for the crowdfund, this is an opportunity. This is basically a chance for our community to own a piece of token metrics. So you can check that out by going to wefunder.com/token.metrics. That's wefunder.com/token.metrics to indicate your interest. All right. So, Bill, any last words to our crypto family?
Yes. So when things get dark, always keep something on hand that reminds you of why you got into crypto to begin with. It's super easy to get excited when the market's going up. The question is, how do you manage your head when it's going down? So make sure you've got, the book that you got in the first time, or, some sort of momentum on your first big trade or something, right? Like I'm looking right now, I have a printout from Seeking Alpha, which is a stock fund. A stock research house. And this is what they had to say about Galaxy Digital. It says a high risk, high reward crypto exposure play. So in my mind, as Galaxy goes, the market goes. In your mind, remember crypto forever. Remember why you got into crypto, and try not to forget it when times are not so good.
All right. I like that. Crypto forever.
Crypto
Let's go
forever.
first.
Over to me.
Yeah. Any last words to our crypto family?
Yeah, so I'm going to reiterate this because I think it's really important, and I'm already seeing signs of people leaving the market prematurely when I still think we're potentially going back into a bull market. Do not hibernate in a bear market because that is, as we've discussed earlier, where you can make the most money. That is where you can find the 100x projects, the 500x projects, the 1000x projects. You might think, oh, I don't have any money to buy a dip, or I've already put so much money. Guys, what is a 100x on $10? It's $1,000. $10, like I'm not saying anybody should, I'm not giving financial advice. I'm not saying anybody should put themselves in a risky situation, but you're talking about a time in the market where 100x's are everywhere, right? If you don't believe me that people have already started to leave this market, go look at popular YouTube channels that have actually grown in subscribership over the last couple months and should be having higher views on their videos now, but compare the views on their videos when Bitcoin was at 65,000 and compare it to now. It's lower now because retail is already losing interest. Retail is the first group of people to get shaken out. And if you can be part of retail and not get shaken out, you can make a ridiculous amount of money in a bear market. So do not hibernate in a bear market. Stay tuned. Pay attention. That's where the 100x's are. And 100x's are beautiful because, guys, 100x on $10, 100x on $100 is a lot of money, right? It's actually like 100x on $200 is a car. It's a car. It's a $20,000 car, right? So when you've got 100x's on the line, you don't want to just leave those just because you've lost interest in the market or because it seems tough. So don't hibernate.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. So my last words are, this is definitely, I would say, a tough time in the market in the last 1 month or so, but we're here with you, right? We're crypto family. We ride or die in crypto forever. But for us, we always wanted to make sure that as we grow as a company, our community has a chance to go to the moon and beyond with us, right? Because this is really about economic empowerment for everybody, right? Because we could have raised money privately from investors. We have done that in the past, but we wanted to make sure that our community had a chance to hop aboard this rocket ship, right? Obviously, not investment advice, right? But we wanted to give everybody who loves us, right, a chance to get a ticket on this rocket ship, right? So thank you to everybody who has indicated interest for the crowdfund. Very, very eager to meet all of you, right? Because you're basically now our family. You are Token Metrics family, right? So with that being said, we would not be where we are without you. We appreciate you even in a bear market, right? We're here. We're not going anywhere. As Bill said, crypto forever. With that being said, we'll see you all next week. To the moon and beyond. Thank you.
Thank
everybody.
you.
Life-changing money to a point where you can buy your mom and dad a brand new house, right? You can pay off your college loans. You can invest in your future, not have to work again, pursue your dreams, your passion, not have to have a job, work that 9-to-5 grind, right? Break the system, hack the system. This is what this show is all about.
They said relax but never retire. Feeling detached, never inspired. They told me relax but I can't retire. I'm feeling detached, never inspired. Like I would live on but never alive. You know the system, AM till 5. They try to say our jobs and give on. They living a lie. Now here's the mission, die or decide. You would die. The corporate life is so redundant when your freedom isn't free. It comes to being someone just believe that you can be. And now how can I have hunger when they tell me when to eat? How can I lead others when they tell me who to meet? Then they tell me when to come and then they tell me when to leave. They say how much they give and then forget how much I need. It's the precious to succeed with the lessons of the greed. I question who to be and saw this message is in me. I gotta know.
Life-changing money.
I wanna work for myself, I gotta work for myself, I gotta go.
You can invest in your future, not
Raise
have to work
spirits to the
again.
moon, put nerves on the shelf, I gotta know.
Pursue your dreams, your
I
passion.
wanna stay free or want the safety, I gotta go.
Break the system, hack the system.
Although they paid me,
This is what the
they
show's
never
all
made
about.
me. I wanna relax, forever retire. I wanna detach, I'm feeling inspired. They told me relax, but I can't retire. I gotta detach, gotta decide. They got me thinking I would live on, but never rely. You know the system, AM till 5. They try to say our jobs and give on. They living a lie. Now here's the mission, die or decide. You or die now. Hey, hey, I will never be a wage slave. I gotta stay made. Hey, hey, hey. I used to see this in the 8th grade. Wasn't a day late. Hey, hey. Ay, I found the love that I was seeking, life that I'm leading. Ay, 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 now I can do this every weekend, cause I'm a free man. I was in Tokyo, riding the job wheel, the rodeo, dancing with the devil for payment. I couldn't do-si-do, but I was driven. The mission gave me an open road. Made a decision to whip him like it's a motor show. 6-figure slave, I was paid, wasn't well though. Heard of crypto underground, it became my railroad. Started making earnest money, it's for whom the bell tolls. Went from wishing for sales closed to sales. Now I can relax, forever retire. Now I'm detached, forever inspired. Now I can relax, forever retire. I had to detach, had to decide. And now I'm thinking I can live on and not just survive. You know this system, AM till 5. They try to say our jobs and give on. They live in a lie. I made a mission, die or decide. Do or die now. Crypto retirement, yeah, that's where my mind went. Started thinking higher, now they can't hire my time spent. No, not retire like 65 when your job ends. More like an island, and if I'm by it, I buy it. Free travel, dealership, sweet dabble. I reign like Leeds Castle, you reign like Seattle. We went from sheep cattle to eating beef and mackerel at feasts. No lassos, just beliefs me in a saddle. You gotta know.
Like life-changing, like
You wanna work for yourself, you gotta work for yourself, you gotta go.
not have to work again.
Raise spirits to the moon, put nerves on the shelf, you gotta know.
Pursue your dreams, your passion.
You wanna stay free or want the safety, you gotta go.
This is what the show is all about.
Although they paid you, they never made you. No, we can relax, forever retire. Now we detach, forever inspired. Now we can relax, forever retire. We had to detach, had to decide. And now we know that we can live on and not just survive. We left the system, AM till 5. They try to say our jobs and give on. They live in a lie. We made a mission, die or decide. Do or die now.
I'm here to put you guys on and share all the different resources and tips I come across in my journey to making $1 million and making $1 billion, right? I'm trying to share this with the world for free. I'm not here to sell you some $2,000 course, ebook, web webinar, whatever, right? I'm here to put you guys on the game for free, open source, right? The same model as blockchain, Bitcoin, or these cryptocurrencies. I'm here to share everything with you guys.
TokenMetrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams. Learn more at tokenmetrics.com.